Okay. Welcome to, okay, hold on, to Tech Entrepreneurs Nebraska. This is our new Subseries, episode 0 of this series called Tech Culture. We might improve that name a little bit, but I'm not great at naming things, so that's what we're calling it for now. I'm here with Blake Hoogeveen with Better Culture, with Mindset. And Better Culture is one of your, how would you describe it?
We have two brands.
Okay.
It's a little confusing at the moment. Mindset was the original company, and Better Culture is kind of our new tech brand, tech company.
Okay, awesome. And so Blake and I have known each other for years and years, and we had a recent meeting with him and one of his colleagues about what they're working on at Better Culture. And I was like, what great alignment with one of the NTC's objectives, which is to help Nebraska raise its profile of tech in general. And with that comes being a great employee and contributor to the tech community, and culture is a big part of that. So thank you for being open to this series with me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Shauna.
Yeah, you bet. So tell us a little bit about you, mindset, all of that, and then we'll get into what we plan to cover in this series.
Absolutely. Yeah. With Mindset and Better Culture, we work with companies that really value workplace culture. Mm-hmm. They believe that with better employees, they're able to have a better company. And we think culture owns talent. If you're able to build a great workplace culture, you're able to attract, develop, and retain great people. Mm-hmm. So just the focus with NTC on attracting, developing, and retaining tech talent was a natural fit for us to get involved with NTC.
Yeah, awesome. And so can you tell us a couple stories, like obviously not naming names because I know you're very professional and would never do that, but of like companies that you've worked with where you kind of went and you were like, wow, it's a little rough, and some things that you've seen help turn things around with your team's support.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, Shauna. And the irony, I wouldn't have believed it when we just got into the work of helping companies, but we typically get calls from companies that have a good culture or a great culture, and they want to be either great or phenomenal. So honestly, I don't have a lot of stories of train wrecks. Those companies, they're out there. You know it from the data. You know it from people that have a miserable experience at work.
Yeah.
We oftentimes get to work with good companies that have good people, and they just want to lap the competition again.
Yeah, that's awesome. And makes some sense too when I think about it. Typically, those who are good want to go to great. And there's sometimes when folks have blinders on and just don't know that. Sometimes they're their own issue.
Absolutely.
And I know I've been there before, looking at the screen for people who may have worked with me in the past, and we're like, yeah, that was rocky. I'm getting better, I promise you. It's a day at a time.
You would be an example of somebody that would have an interest in us. That
Exactly.
Always good, wants to be better. I've known you for a long time, Shauna. You'd be good to work with.
Thanks. Okay, so in this series, we're going to cover the tenets, right?
Yes.
A Better Culture. And how many of them are there?
We have 20 tenets.
Okay.
And I guess to answer your other question about what do we typically do or how do we help organizations?
Awesome, thank you.
One of the things that we do is help develop leaders. And one of the things we see in a lot of companies is there's a big variation. They have some really good leaders. And honestly, they have some leaders that maybe shouldn't be in that position, or they need some development. So for a decade, we were going in and helping companies develop their leaders and really look at what can owners, CEOs, executives, managers do to build and protect culture. Mm-hmm. With our 20 tenets of culture, it's the other side of the coin. So we're trying to say, what can every employee do to build a great place to work? Because you don't have to be a manager to really play a role. So that was the impetus, that was the focus, and we've built a terrific software product that really helps organizations do that.
I love that. So tell us about the software. Is it kind of like self-paced? Like, how does this work?
Yep. So we received a prototype grant from the state of Nebraska to build it. We probably couldn't have done it without that. Awesome. But it combines a self-assessment with automated coaching that runs the course of a year. So employees are asked to rate themselves on our 20 tenets, their attitudes and behaviors that are really soft skills that are correlated with being more successful at work and in life. Mm-hmm. If a team embraces these, they'll have more cohesion, better performance. And if you can get employees to embrace those tenets, they will have a better workplace culture because those people bring those attitudes and behaviors into work each and every day.
That makes so much sense to me. So then it doesn't become like this top-down thing, like we really want to improve the culture, leadership's leading it. It's everybody's buying into it, and it's a part of making the culture better.
Absolutely. And, our definition for culture is it's the attitudes and behaviors that your employees bring to work each and every day.
Right.
It's the attitudes and behaviors that we start to expect from one another. And a lot of companies are good at coaching hard skills.
Yeah.
If you're deficient as an employee in a hard skill, your manager gives you feedback, but on the soft skills, oftentimes those are subjective. Yeah. You don't get feedback, you don't get correction. And that's one of the things that we're trying to help with these 20 tenets. We're making what is vague more clear and concrete, and then you can talk about them to help coach employees.
That's great. And then with having a tool in place where you can actually measure the difference between, like, you started here, you're now here, just being able to measure it matters.
Absolutely. I'm an actuary by background.
Yes.
I like measurement. Measurement's important for business. And, that's one of the reasons we start with a self-assessment, that rate yourself on these 20 tenets and then receive coaching through the product, and then hopefully have some conversation with your colleagues along the way to learn from each other and really promote that growth for everyone.
That is fantastic. By the way, Blake is really good at answering questions succinctly. So what I thought was going to happen is that this would take a long time. So I'm having to come up with more questions, but this is very enjoyable. And this is just how I am as a person, which is like, oh, here's something I'm experiencing right now.
Yep.
Great question answerer, by the way.
Well, maybe that's the actuary in me. I mean, when I was at Mutual of Omaha, I think the joke was that the accountants and actuaries argued, who looks at their shoes versus the other person's shoes. That was the kind of outgoing, that if you look at the other person's shoes when you're talking to them, you're outgoing. If you look at your own, then you're not. So maybe a little bit concise in my answers from that background.
That's awesome. So are you a look at other person's or yours?
I probably initially I was looking at the other person's shoes and over time gotten a little bit more comfortable and outgoing. I hopefully occasionally look at their eyes. I don't know by now.
I got you. Oh, wow. That's okay. I literally just got that both of those things are introverted, and like you're not looking at them.
Yes, thank you. And I probably not very good delivery there, Shauna. So my apologies there.
That's okay. But that's awesome. So, okay, I'm getting back on track. So in this series, following today's episode, we'll release these about once a month, just depends. I get excited about these topics though, so we'll see. We might increase the frequency. Maybe I'll have to come up with 40 tenets so we could have you just keep coming back or something.
Hey,
we'll figure it out.
That would be fun. Just to give a quick overview, I guess that might be helpful. Examples of the tenets, the things that we're trying to help people really focus on and improve through the product is, how coachable are you? A lot of us think we're coachable, and I think if you actually analyze it, you're not as coachable as you think you are. Do you know what it means to assume positive intent? A lot of people don't even know what that means, and most of us struggle with it.
Yep.
You'll be more successful if you do. How welcoming are you to other people within your culture? The more welcoming you are, the better your culture is going to be. So those are the types of things that we're asking people to really think about, reflect on, hopefully put some effort in, have conversation, and through that process, raise their performance, and collectively become more successful.
Right.
Help your teams achieve higher results.
Yeah.
And help your company become a better place to work, which really has tangible value for organizations.
Yeah, it really does. And I'm thinking too, so just back on the culture piece, is it, you said something like, how comfortable are you with people? Is it within or outside of your culture? And are you talking about company culture or background or what?
Yeah, our typical focus is workplace culture.
Okay.
We're trying to help organizations have a dynamic work environment. And, one of the things that organizations that really achieve a great culture do is they get to know their employees.
Yep.
I mean, you get to know your colleagues, know who they really are. So from that standpoint, different cultures that people bring, we find in the best places to work, they actually know their people, they have relationships. And I think in some of the not so great places to work, it's just a job. People come in, they don't really have relationships, and that really limits their ability to enjoy their work. And we think to really help the organization have dynamic relationships and ultimately do the best work.
Awesome. Well, this is going to be fun. We're down to the final 15 here. So great work. This was a very great conversation to start us off. So looking forward to it.
Awesome. That was fun. Thanks, Shauna.
You're welcome. Thanks.